You've been lied to about death, not just misled or kept in the dark, deliberately deceived, because the truth would change everything. The moment your heart stops, when that final breath leaves your body, something extraordinary happens. You don't disappear. You don't fade to black. You don't float toward a tunnel of light. You awaken. Imagine this: you're hovering above your own body, watching as loved ones weep, as doctors pronounce the time of death, as the machine flatlines. You try to tell them you're still here, but your voice makes no sound. You try to touch them, but your hand passes through. And then comes the revelation that shatters everything you've ever believed. Your entire life was the dream. Death is the awakening. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, a 1,200-year-old manuscript kept hidden for centuries, mapped this territory with devastating precision, not as religious mythology, but as a practical guide to the 49 days that follow death. A roadmap through the greatest test your consciousness will ever face, a test most of us will fail. Not because we're weak or unworthy, but because we were never told we'd be tested at all. In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you what happens in those critical 49 days. How your own mind creates heaven or hell. How your consciousness either breaks free or gets trapped in another cycle of suffering. And most importantly, how you can prepare while you're still breathing. Because the choices you make today are rehearsals for the ultimate moment. And make no mistake, death isn't the end of your journey. It's when the real journey begins. The first test comes immediately. Your body is still cooling on the bed when it happens. A radiance erupts from everywhere and nowhere. Not gentle sunlight, not comforting warmth, but a blinding, overwhelming brilliance that threatens to dissolve everything you believe you are. The Tibetans call this the clear light of reality. It's not God, it's not heaven, it's not angels coming to greet you. It's you, the real you. The consciousness that's been hiding behind your personality, your stories, your identity, revealed at last. Most souls recoil in terror, not because the light is frightening, but because surrendering to it means letting go of everything you think you are. Your name, your history, your attachments, your unfinished business, all must be released in an instant. Think about how hard it is to let go of a grudge. Now imagine letting go of your entire identity. That's why most of us fail the first test. We turn away from the light. We choose the comfortable darkness of our conditioning over the blinding truth of our nature. Those near-death experiences people report, the peaceful light, the loving presence, the sense of returning, they're not proof of heaven. They're evidence of failure. Souls who glimpsed liberation but turned away, clinging to their separate selves instead of merging with the light. You've had glimpses of this state in life, that moment of perfect stillness in meditation. The seconds before sleep claims you. The flash of clarity during profound love. Those rare instances when the boundary between you and everything else thins to transparency. But in death, there are no boundaries unless you create them. And most of us create them immediately. Because the alternative, complete surrender, feels like annihilation to an ego that spent decades building walls around itself. When you turn away from the clear light, the show begins. The bardo, this in-between state, becomes a theater where your mind projects its contents onto the screen of emptiness. At first, the visions are beautiful, comforting. Beings of light approach you, emanating wisdom and peace. Religious figures you've believed in. Loved ones who passed before you. But none of it is real. These are projections of your highest potentials, aspects of your own consciousness reflected back at you. Recognize them as yourself, and they become doorways. Mistake them for external saviors, and they transform. The peaceful deities become wrathful ones. The angels become demons. The comforting faces contort into monstrous expressions. What was heaven becomes hell in an instant. And here's the trap most souls fall into. They run. They hide. They plead for mercy from tormentors that don't exist outside their own minds. It's no different than your nightmares while alive. When you dream of being chased, who's doing the chasing? When monsters lurk in your sleeping mind, who created them? You did. But in dreams, you eventually wake up. In the bardo, there's no morning alarm, no body to return to. These visions in the afterlife are your unprocessed emotions taking form. Every suppressed rage, every buried shame, every denied fear, all emerge as external threats. But they're not external. They're you, reflected in the mirror of pure consciousness. The more you run from what you fear, the stronger it grows. The more you fight against the illusions, the more solid they become. This is why spiritual practices emphasize facing your shadows while alive. Every emotion you refuse to feel now becomes a demon you'll face then. Every truth you deny becomes a monster that will chase you through eternity. Or at least until you recognize it's just you chasing yourself. By the third week after death, something even more terrifying begins. Your entire life plays back to you, not as a highlight reel, not as memory, but as full immersion. You relive every moment, every choice, every action. But this time you experience it from both sides. The harsh words you spoke to your child in anger. You feel them cutting into your own heart. The kindness you showed a stranger. You feel the warmth it created in them. The betrayal of a friend. You feel the devastation from their perspective. There is no judgment except what you feel through others. No punishment except the direct experience of your impact on the world. Imagine feeling every ripple of pain you ever caused. Not conceptually understanding it, but feeling it tear through you as if it were happening to you. Imagine experiencing every moment of joy you created in others as if it were your own. This is the ultimate accountability. No excuses, no explanations, no, I didn't mean to, or you don't understand my reasons. Just the raw truth of what you did and how it felt to everyone involved. For those who lived with compassion, this review brings profound peace. For those who cause suffering, it brings agony, not as punishment, but as understanding. And here's where it gets even more profound. This review doesn't just reflect your past, it conditions your future. The emotions generated by this review, the regret, the joy, the shame, the love, create karmic imprints that draw you toward your next life. The heavier the burden of regret and attachment, the more suffering in the next incarnation. Not because you're being punished, but because your own mind creates the conditions of your rebirth. This is why forgiving yourself and others isn't spiritual luxury, it's practical preparation. Every grudge you release now is one less chain binding you then. Every amends you make lightens the weight you'll carry through the bardo. The life review isn't judgment, it's clarity. Finally seeing the truth without the distortion of ego or justification. Are you ready to see yourself that clearly? By the 6th week, the most seductive test begins. The visions shift again. Now you see doorways, wombs, couples making love, entry points back into physical existence. You see colors and lights, some pleasant, some harsh. Each represents a different realm of rebirth, but they come with a twist. You're drawn to what feels familiar, not what would serve your evolution. If you lived in anger, the red fiery realms look strangely inviting. If you lived in dullness and ignorance, the gray foggy realms feel like home. If you lived in craving, the humid hungry realms pull you in. And here's the trap that catches almost everyone. As you approach these gateways, you start seeing the unfinished business of your past life, your children crying for you, your partner alone in bed, your work unfinished, your enemies unpunished, your desires unfulfilled. You feel an overwhelming urge to go back, to fix what's broken, to comfort those who mourn you, to finish what you started. This longing, this attachment to what was, is the final hook that catches the soul. The moment you reach for any of it, the moment you think, I need to go back, you're pulled into rebirth. You feel a moment of unconsciousness, a forgetting, and then you're compressed into a new form, a new body, a new life. With no memory of who you were or the choice you just made, the cycle begins again. The forgetting, the suffering, the death, the bardo. Over and over and over. Could you resist if you saw your child weeping for you? Could you turn away from everything and everyone you've ever loved? Could you choose complete liberation over the chance to comfort them one more time? This is why attachment, even to those we love most, becomes the heaviest chain. Not because love is wrong, but because clinging to anything, even love, keeps us bound to the wheel of suffering. If death is the final exam, life is the study guide we keep ignoring. Everything you're experiencing right now, every emotion, every attachment, every fear, is preparation for what happens in the bardo. You're rehearsing for death with every breath. When you scroll mindlessly through social media instead of sitting with your thoughts, you're practicing ignorance. When you chase validation through likes and followers, you're strengthening the illusion of separate self. When you numb yourself with substances instead of feeling your pain, you're ensuring that pain will find you in death. But the opposite is also true. Every time you sit in meditation, watching thoughts arise and dissolve without clinging to them, you're rehearsing for the moment the clear light appears. Every time you face a difficult emotion instead of running from it, you're preparing to face the wrathful deities. Every time you practice compassion, you're lightening the burden of your life review. This isn't about religion. It's not about believing the right things or performing the right rituals. It's about training your mind to recognize reality without flinching, without running, without hiding. Look at your life right now. Where are you clinging? What are you avoiding? What truths are you refusing to face? That man on his deathbed who regrets working too much. He's not just mourning lost time. He's creating the conditions for his next rebirth, one dominated by craving and regret. That woman who can't forgive her ex-husband, she's not just poisoning her present. She's ensuring that rage will manifest as demons in her bardo journey. That teenager numbing their anxiety with endless distraction. They're not just avoiding growth. They're practicing the very confusion that will turn them away from the clear light. Your daily choices aren't just shaping this life. They're determining what happens in those crucial 49 days after death. Are you practicing presence or distraction? Awareness or avoidance, compassion or judgment, freedom or attachment? Whatever you practice now becomes your autopilot response then, when there's no time to think, no chance to prepare, only to react from habit. Here's the truth that liberation traditions have always known, the secret that makes sense of everything. You are not a body, having a temporary spiritual experience. You are consciousness having a temporary human experience. The clear light that appears at death isn't something new or foreign. It's what you've always been, hidden behind the veil of identity. It's been present in every moment of your life, whether you recognized it or not. What you feared losing was never outside you. Those glimpses of transcendence you've had, in nature, in love, in creation, in prayer, weren't glimpses of something else. They were moments of seeing what's always here, what you truly are beneath the stories and struggles. The bardo isn't just a realm you enter after death. You're in it right now, moving between moments, between breaths, between thoughts. Each time a thought ends and before the next begins, that gap is the bardo in miniature. Each time you fall asleep and before dreams begin, bardo. Each time an emotion fades and before another arises, bardo. This life is the dream. Death is the awakening. But here's the gift hidden in these ancient teachings. You don't have to wait until death to awaken. You can recognize the clear light now, in this moment, in this breath. You can practice dying while you're still alive, letting go of who you think you are, surrendering the stories that bind you, releasing the attachments that create suffering. So when that final moment comes, when your body exhales for the last time and the light appears, you won't turn away in fear. You'll recognize it as the oldest friend, the truest home, the self beyond self. The ancients left us this map not to frighten us, but to free us. Not to make us fear death, but to help us live more fully. To wake up before the alarm of mortality forces our eyes open. If you remember anything when that light appears, remember this. You are not the dream. You are the dreamer. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. You are not the light. You are its source. And in that recognition lies the freedom you've been seeking your entire life. The freedom that's been waiting for you, in death and beyond.